You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
Welcome into the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, boy Pat Lane with my guy Matt St. Jean. I have no voice, but we're pushing through anyways. This episode, of course, is brought to you by FanDuel, the official wagering partner of CLNS Media. Make sure to go to FanDuel.com/Boston and sign up to get in on the action. Matt, week one, Patriots obviously go down and lose to Philadelphia, unfortunately. But I feel like, and I don't know if everyone's going to see it this way, but I'm feeling better about this team than I think a lot of people thought we were going to be heading into this game.
Yeah, and I think if you kind of want any kind of barometer looking around the NFL for the Patriots right now, you go down 16-0 right away with some bounces that don't go your way. We're halftime of the Sunday night game right now. This game is out of control because the same thing happened to the Giants in their home building to an NFC East team that was also very good last year in the Cowboys. And they just crumbled. Patriots didn't. You're in your own building. You get the noise going. You face that adversity and overcome it to a degree. And, you know what? It's not – the Eagles are a really good team. The last time they were on the field, they scored 35 points in the Super Bowl. Patriots defense shut them down for most of the game. Last time we saw this Patriots offense, it did not look functional. They went out there with no Devontae Parker and neither of their starting guards against a front four that's one of the best in the NFL. And looks like a functional NFL offense. I think if the first quarter doesn't go the way it does, I think you don't get some of the emotional reactions that we've seen today.
Right.
But I don't know. You can't throw out the first quarter. That was also stuff that's not going to happen every game. And the other three quarters, the Patriots looked really, really good. Right.
And that's what it comes down to. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for, does your team quit when things go wrong? And listen, Evan Lazar said it. I'm going to say it. I'm saying it in my article that's coming out tomorrow on Pat's Pulpit. It's the same old story as last year. You get down in a hole, you fight your way back, you're not able to win. They did that a million times last year. The difference is that it looked like an actual functioning offense. Last year it was we had nothing going on. We'd have a pick six or strip sack return for a touchdown or punt return for a touchdown or whatever the case may be. That was not the case tonight. Mac Jones, I'm sorry, but if his wide receivers didn't drop a million passes, Mac Jones would have had probably over 400 yards passing today. He looked good. Now, he had a high throw to Kendrick Bourne that was returned for a pick six. It was not a great throw, but Bourne, tipped it straight up in the air, and Darius Slay came down with it and returned it for a touchdown. Not what you're looking for from your number one receiver, essentially. And, he had a drop on 3rd and 12 where he hit him in the hands. Kayshon Boutte had 2 catches, one on 3rd down, one on that huge 4th down where, if he just gets his feet in bounds, right, just get you 2 feet in bounds, right? And he wasn't able to do it. So, when you look at it from that perspective and you say, look, it wasn't all bad. Yes, it wasn't great. Yes, we want more, right? We want to see them be able to actually win that game. But I think overall, you have to be enthused about what you saw from the Patriots.
And Mac was, as of right now, we'll have to see what happens in the game tonight and obviously whatever happens in the Monday night game. But Mac ends the early Sunday slate, the afternoon games, 4th in week 1 in passing in the NFL. He threw it over 50 times. Let me tell you, you lose on Wenu and you lose Strange. And I thought the rookies did a really good job in pass protection. I thought the tackles, I barely noticed Calvin Anderson today, which is an awesome thing.
Agreed.
Side note, we talked a lot about Mike McGlinchey, who the Broncos had signed to replace Calvin Anderson. Go look at some of the beat reporters over in Denver. They weren't thrilled with what he did today. Calvin Anderson, I barely noticed out there.
Yeah.
But the line did not get pushed in the running game. They really weren't doing it. So it was all Mac with one of his number one receivers out, however you want to say, Parker, against that front four in a secondary that was really, really good last year. And they played well. They moved the ball. 7 of their last 8 drives ended in Philadelphia territory. Every drive in the second half ended in Philly territory except for the opening one, which was a 3-and-out. And a couple of those third downs were ones that they should have had, and you had guys dropping passes. And it's raining. I get it; things are going to happen. It probably doesn't happen every game from here on out, but they consistently moved the ball. They pinned Philly deep. The turning point of the game really was the second quarter, where even though New England wasn't really moving the ball, they were able to pin Philly deep, and they were able to stop Philly from moving it. And they kind of just inch up the field with their field position until eventually they broke through and the offense clicked. And, special teams better, defense electric today, and offense functional. This was this the best game Max had in his career? I think the only one we could say that's better is the Minnesota game last year on Thanksgiving. I think that's the only one that's up there.
Some of the throws that he made. The Hunter Henry touchdown was an outrageous throw. An outrageous throw. That throw, to me, that's on par with the best throw that Mac Jones has made in his career. He threw that ball. Hunter Henry literally had time to just get his hands up. That ball was in his hands as he was turning around. It was a perfect throw. He had some really nice ones later on in the game too. I thought he wasn't great. Listen, again, the pick six, Bourne's got to make a play, right? In my opinion, it was high. It wasn't a great throw. And so I'm willing to kind of say not a great play by Mac Jones, obviously. Do I think it should have been a pick six? No, but that's what happens sometimes, And
that's one of those plays that's like, I don't know, 1 out of every maybe 5 passes that gets tipped like that ends up as a pick six. It happens more often on ones that are picked like that. But you throw passes that get tipped like that maybe 5 times a season. Odds are we don't get a sequence with a pick six and a fumble in the next play for the rest of the season. I'm going to knock on wood saying that.
Right.
I don't want to jinx anything.
It's a little fluky. You're right. And
that's football. You want to overcome it, but I'm not going to get mad at a team for not overcoming it against a team as good as Philadelphia while you're injured. I think I know we're going to talk about it next week at some point in here. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. You can't say week 2 is a must win. You can never say that's a must win this early, but it's as close. When you consider the stakes in the division, how good Miami looks, wanting to get one of these home games, it's important. And this is one that's all right, we looked good. Let's get healthy this week. Carry this over, and you play like this against Miami, you're at least going to have a shot to win. If you have a shot to win the first 2 games and you can't win either of them, then maybe some alarm bells start going off about these guys not being able to overcome a hump or get it done in the clutch or whatever. But I'm just not there at all right now.
I agree. So one thing I want to talk about that, Light Ninja makes a good point about this. It's called for go for it with 6 minutes left and not kick the field goal. They still had 3 timeouts. They were down by 8. And so here's the argument, right? Analytically, and I don't know exactly what it is analytically. I don't know. My assumption is that the analytics said go for it. And the reason why is because it's 4th and 3. It goes from a 1-score game to a 1-score game if you kick the field goal there. My argument for kicking the field goal is simple. You're down by 5 instead of 8. If Philly drives and scores a field goal, it's still a 1-score game.
And that's the risk you take.
Right. And that's the argument for me. I thought they should have gone. I thought they should have kicked the field goal at the time. And this is the hard part. 90% of fans, maybe not 90, most fans are looking at that simply saying the process doesn't matter. The decision-making doesn't matter. The execution is what matters. If they get that first down, they're looking at that saying, oh, man, the Patriots, what a call to go for it on 4th downs. Great play, great call, this, right? But they don't get it, so now they say, oh, stupid, and Belichick's this. And wait till you have Felger Mass. Is Belichick losing it? Does he not have it anymore? Is he an analytics guy now? They're going to go nuts over that.
Yeah.
But again, to me, it's the process. I understand what the analytics say. I don't care. I don't care what the analytics say. I would have kicked the field goal in that situation because you're down 5 and it gives you a chance to give up a field goal and still only be down by 1.
See, my argument against that is that if you kick the field goal, you're down by a possession. Philly
Right.
starts the next drive at the 25-yard line, assuming there's a touchback.
Right.
You don't get it. You're down by a possession. Philly starts with the ball at the 18-yard line.
Right.
Starting in a worse spot, and I think Light Engine had mentioned in his comment, the defense was stellar, so, just take the points. I'd argue you should go the other way with it. The defense is playing as well as it was. You can risk it with the offense out there. You can take those risks because you got a nice parachute on the other side of things. And I think you see some complimentary football there too. They got the 4th and long before that. The offense is playing well. You show some confidence in your offensive guys, and things are clicking. Things are working. You got something on the Philly defense. You want to keep it going before they can adjust. You don't know what the next drives are going to look like. So you can do that with the confidence that your defense is going to get you the ball back with a chance to be in the game. And they did. Obviously, Philly went down and scored on the next drive, but they only scored 3, and New England went down and scored a touchdown right away and hung around. And
Right.
I don't think that ended up really making a difference at the end of this. So I think you were going to have to go for the touchdown at some point in there. And
I do agree, but again,
it will.
If it plays out the exact same way, they kick a field goal, they're going to overtime at the end of the game, right? Instead, they don't, and maybe they could have
not
gotten
necessarily because you need the 2-point conversion, and they came up 5 points short. So
no, but what I'm saying is they wouldn't have gone for the 2-point conversion because they would have only had to go for 1. You see what I'm saying?
Well, if they kick a field goal,
so I guess
field goal, you're still down 8.
No, I guess you're right. You would have to get the 2.
Yeah.
You're right. And you are right that they should add offsetting penalties on that 2-point conversion. I thought the refs were kind of shitty today, but what are you gonna do?
And I think the other thing too, we put this into the context of past seasons. You look at 2021, the Dallas game in overtime of that one. The Patriots received a lot of criticism for not going for it on a 4th down on that one.
Yep.
Go back to last year, Green Bay in overtime receiving the criticism. And I think the difference between those, in 2021, you got a rookie quarterback. You're going against an elite Cowboys defense. You just feel better with your defense out there at that point, and they were playing well. When it's 2022 and you got Bailey Zappi at Green Bay in his first start, you don't have any confidence that he's going to pick it up there. Today, especially in the second half, Patriots offense was moving the ball.
Yeah.
They were picking up more than 3 yards of play. I like the odds of them getting it. And if they don't, they're pinned back deep anyway, and your defense has a chance to go make a play.
You're right.
I don't. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, I don't think the decision really matters that much because you're going to have a shot to win either way. The players have to execute it. And, they just came up a couple plays short, a couple drops, tipped balls, fumbles, things like that. And one of those where I think regardless of the decision, you have to execute it better next time.
I agree. So someone's asking about mistrust in Ryland, and I don't believe that was the case. I don't believe that they mistrust Ryland. They traded Nick Folk. They did that for a reason. Now Nick Folk hit 4 field goals today for Tennessee. Wasn't able to do anything else, but nevertheless, to me, I think they trust Ryland enough that they would have given him that shot. My second question about that sequence is 2nd and 3rd down. They ran those stupid plays up the middle, which I thought. They just didn't. You're never going to pick up the first down on those plays. I thought they should have thrown it on 2nd and or 3rd down and tried to pick it up through the air on those plays. And they didn't.
I think there were a couple times in there late in the game too where they just. They had to throw the ball so much down the stretch, and I think they thought, if we do a little run here or a little screen or whatever, we're going to catch the defense off guard and pick up a chunk play. And they did a couple times, but I think they went to that a couple times too many. And there were just a couple situations in there where now Philly was ready for it, and they stopped it, and just didn't work out the way you thought it was going to. I think they went to that 1 too many times, 2 too many times, and you'll have that more in your bag once Strange and Onwenu were back, which I'm going to assume is going to be next week. They are questionable this week.
Yeah, you would think they'll be
next
back
week. Yeah, I would expect them back for that.
Yeah. So TJ is saying that the field goal, the game was over. That's not the case. If they had kicked the field goal there, then they're down by 5. Philly goes down and kick. Now, again, assuming that all happened the exact same way, they kick the field goal, they're down by 5. Philly kicks a field goal down the other end. Now they're down by 8. Well, the touchdown, that puts them down by 2. And so you have to get the 2-point conversion still. So, well,
Yeah.
and I guess in that exact same situation, you're right, because the Patriots would have been down by 1 or 2, depending on what they did, right? They probably would have been down. If you don't get the 2-point conversion,
field goal.
Now you would have only been down by 2. You could have kicked the field goal to win the game. But I will say that I think that the Eagles' drive would have looked significantly different if they were only up by 2 points, right? They were trying to kill the clock, and they said, if we pick up a first down, great. But if we don't, all we have to do is stop them from scoring a touchdown.
And
if they were only down by 2, they're not doing that.
Too. Yeah, the defensive sequence is going to be called very differently too, and I think that's one of those, like, I don't know, you can play butterfly effect with it, and you can play hypothetical so many different ways. It's a 4th and 3 in your trust in your offense to get it.
Right.
You do that for the whole season, and the guys execute the way they did today. You're going to get that more times than you're not, and it might cost you at points, but we're not going to be talking about that when they do it in 3 weeks, and that's what wins them the game. It's not. We're looking at a 1-week sample, and it's going to turn into a 17-week sample, and hopefully longer than that. And we play it out through the whole season, not just one game. And
again, I think the point that you made is a great point. Everyone has been very critical of the Patriots being not aggressive enough.
Yes,
going forward on 4th down, trying to score at the end of games, pushing and trusting their offense. We have been very critical of them not doing that. And in this case, they did do it. And now we're being critical of them not doing it. And again, here, the problem is this, right? They didn't get the first down. And so what everyone now looks to it and says, terrible call, terrible decision. And again, if it were me, if I was the one making the call, I would have kicked the field goal. I'm not the one making the call, but that's what I would have done.
And I don't think you'd be wrong for it. I think this is a situation where there is no wrong decision. You just gotta, back up whatever you put out there, and they didn't today. And
correct.
I hope.
And so
I hope they continue to put the ball in Mac's hands in situations and give him the opportunities.
Right.
Because
Right. And so that's the thing for me is that, in my opinion, we want them to be more aggressive offensively. That's what we want them to do. That's what we've been asking them to do. That's what we've been shouting for them to do. They're doing that. That's what they're doing, which is great. Yeah. I think that's a great thing moving forward. Now, again, will they maybe take the points next time? Maybe they will. Maybe they will. I don't know. Right? But you're put in a difficult situation. I thought that they played extremely well today offensively. I know that there were some bad plays. But for the most part, and you mentioned the 2 rookies. I mean, you're talking about, Tony, like the 2 of them both went head-to-head against Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter. And they were winning pretty consistently. Now, they couldn't get a ton of movement to run the ball. Philly's a very good defense. So they didn't get a ton of push to run the ball. But I thought the pass blocking was so much better than what people expected. Especially when those guys were questionable. You didn't know for sure if those guys were going to do it. City Soap has been playing tackle his whole career. Now that's just this summer. He hasn't even repped at guard. He's been playing tackle.
Yeah. Did you see what David Andrews said after the game?
No.
Somebody asked him, they're like, hey, like, I know we've all watched City Soap been at tackle this entire summer, and then he was at guard today. Like, did he get any experience at guard? And Andrews is basically like, we don't have any secret practices. You saw what we saw.
Right.
So it basically sounds like City So got essentially his first reps at guard for the Patriots in a week 1 matchup against the defending NFC champs with the second best front 4, I would say, in the NFL behind San Francisco. Yeah. Something like that. And held their own. I think it was 2 sacks they allowed, maybe 3 sacks they allowed.
Yeah, 2 or 3 sacks. It really, honestly, it was significantly better than what a lot of people thought. And I had said, I've said on this podcast, I've said on other podcasts, I've said to, people talking about it, they were going to impress people today. They were going to play better than people thought. And unfortunately, they weren't able to come away with the win. But, that's a rookie out there. If he gets his foot down, he's got to drag that second foot. If he drags that second foot, they may not win the game still. But now they're going to have, basically first and goal.
Four
Right.
shots at the end zone, and you know
Right.
I like my chances.
Yeah, but I just thought if Matt can play that way this whole year, he's going to have a fantastic season.
Yeah. And you know what this game reminds me a lot of? It's the Baltimore game last year. This is like the good version of that game. That was the
Right.
game where you're going against like a good team with a really good mobile quarterback,
Yep.
and you go down and you come back and the stadium's amped and you just can't complete the comeback. You can't complete the comeback. Why? Because the defense can't get the stops when you need them.
Right.
And because Mac Jones threw some really bad picks at the end of that game. Well, what happened today? You didn't see Mac Jones throwing bad picks, trying to lead some comeback effort, which is kind of the issue we've seen from him. When he throws it a lot, he ends up throwing picks. That's been his and that's his turnover issue.
Right.
Did not see that. 54 passing attempts, I believe. One pick that was a tipped ball. It's on him for being inaccurate, but it's not like some of the ones we've seen in the past.
Right.
And the flip side, the defense really did shut them down. 5 straight 3-and-outs in the middle of the game. Yeah, they did allow that field goal at one point in the second half to kind of push it a little bit, but like that was it. Christian Gonzalez getting a 4th down breakup on, I believe that was AJ Brown on a slant to get the ball back. Like that's some really good stuff that they were doing. So it's that game, but without all the negative side effects. The defense looks better. The offense looks more in sync. You don't come away with an injured quarterback, which is nice. And yeah, I feel a lot more optimistic about it. Got to turn these into wins at some point. I'm not going to, you want to see wins, but you're not going to win every game. The 2016 Pats, one of the better teams out there, lost at home to Seattle. Like that happened in a close game at home. And the defense had some bad moments and the offense couldn't convert in that one. It happens with the best Patriots team. And this is not the best Patriots team. So I'm not going to get upset about a 5-point home loss when you were, what, it was a 4-point spread, 3.5-point spread.
I think it ended at 4. I think it ended up being 4, but
look, played this as expected.
It's just, I thought overall, I thought they played well.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, KJ is, all over Mac Jones. Look, I know people are going to blame this game on Mac. I know they're going to, because that's what's going to happen. I know. They're wrong. You're wrong. If you're blaming Mac Jones for this game, just flat out, you're wrong.
I don't
like that's just
that at all.
That's a fact. He was good. He was good. That's it. The touchdown pass to Hunter Henry was an absolute dime. He threw some really, really nice passes. Look, if Bourne catches that 3rd and 12, they might win the game anyways. And we're not even talking about, we're not even sitting here talking about the 4th down decision.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So one that I keep coming back to is I think the third drive, like Juju dropping that pass on 3rd down that would have given them a conversion too, and let you get into a rhythm earlier in the game, things like that. Like he was, I think this is probably the 2nd best game that we have seen from Mac Jones when you consider the context of how good the opponent is and the stats that he put up. And I pulled some stats on Philly's defense too. Yeah. So Mac had this is Mac's only game in his career with over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Philly allowed that once all of last season to have a 300-yard passer and 3 touchdowns. And that was Dak Prescott in a Christmas Eve game where Jalen Hurts didn't play, and I think they had the 1 seed locked up, and they were like only kind of taking it seriously.
Yeah,
Philly's defense is really, really good. Mac Jones was really good. Like they had him confused. Forget about Mac Jones for a second. Bill O'Brien was in his bag today. He dialed some stuff up. He had guys confused. One of the things I noticed, on the first 4 or 5 offensive snaps of the game, every skill player saw the field. Every single one of them. All 3 running backs, all 4 receivers active today, all 3 tight ends. All of them saw the field right off the bat.
Yeah.
They had I think 13 personnel at one point, which is 1 running back and 3 tight ends. They went out there with Ty Montgomery, Demario Douglas, and all 3 tight ends that were active on like the 3rd snap of the game. And I was like, who saw that coming?
Yeah.
It was working. And they're getting everybody involved and they're mixing things up and finding things that work. And I don't know, Bill O'Brien's pretty good at this. And I don't know how many people in here are college football fans. And anybody watch the Alabama game? on Saturday, Alabama's offense looked horrendous at points.
Yep.
And, I think Bill O'Brien got some flack for what that Alabama offense looked like at points last year. But I think you watch what it looks like this year and you realize he was actually a huge part of why it was even as successful as it was. Like, he's been in this for a while. He's really good at what he does, especially spread stuff and letting the quarterback be a point guard and dish the ball out. And the offense looks like this all season long. They're going to win 9-10 games, I think.
Right. I agree. And look, the diagnosis of Mac Jones is going to come. It's going to happen. People are pissed about it. They're going to say, oh, he made this and he missed that throw and he missed that throw and he missed. I thought the decision-making was good. I thought the timing was good. I thought he had multiple throws where he was hitting guys as they were cutting out of their break. I just thought, I thought he played well tonight. And again, it wasn't perfect. Obviously, at the pick six, which again, to me, is not all on him. But regardless, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I thought he played significantly better than what he looked like last year. And so now you sit there and look at it and say, I do have some confidence in what he's going to look like this year. I thought, and they're talking about zip on. I mean, look, it's the same old story with people that hate on Mac.
The Kendrick Bourne drop that happened, which, by the way, was pass interference. But besides that point, Mac got hit as he was throwing by one of those heavy dudes they got on that line and fit the ball in like 15, 20 yards down the field into a bucket to Kendrick Bourne over the middle of the field. He has enough zip. It's not, he's not Herbert out here. I'm not going to pretend he's the most athletic quarterback because he isn't. And I don't know if he's the franchise quarterback based on this one game.
Right.
But you can win with the dude we saw today. You can win
plenty. It wasn't as bad as people are saying. It wasn't. He played really well. It's that simple. If Bourne catches that 3rd and 12 and they win the game, that's the case. And Light Engine, I know he didn't talk about Mac. During a loss, after a loss, Bill Belichick has never praised individual plays. He doesn't do it.
He never talked about it. I think the only time he ever has talked about the quarterback specifically is Tom Brady in his prime, and that's the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah.
So
no, he doesn't like doing it.
Bill.
He doesn't like doing it, and it is what it is. I just think, look, we'll see. And again, I think what you said is true. We don't know if Mac's the guy. We have no idea if Mac's the guy. But tonight was a good night. Tonight he looked a million times better than he did look last year. A million times better than he looked last year. The offense showed some actual stuff. We were like, wow, they're like an offense. They're like an NFL offense, right? And so that's the way it is, man. I thought it was very good.
I think he could be better. I think
100%.
what you saw from him tonight is it's not what you want the floor to be because every quarterback's going to have off nights, but I do think this is the kind of floor you want to see from him consistent. Well, he'll have 2 or 3 games worse than it in a season, where defenses confuse him or it's just not seeing things, not hitting things. Brady had those. Every quarterback has those. But if he can, you can count on him hitting what's called for, like he did tonight, reading it, running the offense pre-snap. You do all that, you're going to be in every game. And I know we got to talk about the defense at some point. Maybe we'll do that after we run our promo here in a sec. Yes. I'll segue us. But, Mac plays like this and the defense plays like it did tonight. The Patriots are going to have a chance in every single game that they play this season. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're going to be in every game.
Agreed. I agree. So, all right, we are going to get to the defense. We got a quick ad first, and then we will be back.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. Go visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Ages 21 and up and present in Massachusetts. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at fanduel.com/sportsbook. Hope is here. Gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234. NFL Sunday ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
All right, so let's get to the defense. Before we do that, though, before we get to the defense, I just want to say the two moves that the Patriots made and didn't make: Juju Smith-Schuster over Jacoby Myers, and then not signing DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins was fine today for Tennessee, but I mean that team stinks, man. And Ryan Tannehill was not good.
Man, I had that Tennessee New Orleans game on in like the background while I was doing stuff earlier, and that was just atrocious.
Yeah, it's just an absolutely terrible.
If that's the Saints team that comes into Foxborough next month, the Patriots should win that.
Agreed.
By 10 points.
Yep, agreed. So that's the other part. That's the other part about for me. And then the Juju versus Jacoby Myers. Let's see. It's 1 week. Juju had a drop. Should have caught a pass on the third down. It was a little bit low, I guess, but it should have been caught for a first down, and he dropped it. And he didn't do a ton today. He looked okay at times. But I just think that I think it's close, man. I know Myers caught 2 touchdowns today. I get it.
Myers
he's
got
also
hurt today, by the way.
And he got hurt, right? But
yeah,
he's
I hope
also
he's doing okay.
Yeah, I know. He's also in the offense that he's been running his whole career. So he's already familiar with it, right? And so obviously different quarterback, but Jimmy G, did they ever overlap? I think they overlapped for 1 year, right? Jimmy G got traded in 2019, I think.
I think it was 2018.
He did.
That might have been 2017.
Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. So they probably didn't overlap. But either way, I just thought, for me personally, I don't mind the move. Yes, okay, Myers or whatever, but I thought that was fine. So, all right, on to the defense.
Yeah. Oh, can I add one last
thing
here? Because we talked about the fourth down decision, and we kind of talked about like analytics or whatever. So, and I hadn't seen this until right now. Doug Kai tweeted it out. Awesome guy. The fourth down bot, the analytics said take the field goal. So I think that tells you this isn't an analytics thing. It's not. Analytics isn't be aggressive all the time. It's just telling you which way to go. And it was not a huge win probability thing. It was close. And I think what that tells you as a coach is you can do either. I think that's basically what the thing is telling you is trust you can win this game either way. Go with where you're going to trust your players.
Right.
Trust those players.
Yeah. It's a good point. And again, I'm not, the 4th and 2 play is the play that everyone comes back to, right? And that's years ago at this point. But that was a situation where Belichick said, and he said to his team, I will always trust you guys to make the play. I'm out here. I believe in you. I believe that you can make the play. And honestly, I like the fact that he feels that way. Him going for it on 4th down there tells me he has a lot of confidence in his offense, which has not been the case.
We've been wanting that since 2018, 2017. We're talking about the last couple of years of Brady. They didn't have that confidence either.
Right. So I think that I was happy to see that. I don't agree with the call. I wish they would have kicked the field goal. But I think if you're talking about would you prefer the Patriots to be aggressive or not aggressive on offense? I'd prefer them be aggressive. And so, again, obviously it didn't work out today, but I do prefer them be aggressive. Now, not Chargers aggressive, but I do prefer them to be aggressive. So, and Murph does say, by the way, 2017 was when Jimmy G was traded. So, anyways, all right, defensively, obviously they played great defensively. They give up the pick six. They had the quick change with the Zeke fumble. with a short field. So, I thought that both of those were, obviously one was a pick six. The other one was a fine drive by them. But Philly had that long drive right at the beginning of the game and had to kick a field goal. And that, to me, was impressive. I thought that was very impressive by the Patriots defense to get down there and tighten up. That's like very, very indicative of what the Patriots used to do, right? They were a little bend, don't break. We'll give you a little bit, but you're not going to be able to score a touchdown. This is exactly what they did to start the game. And they just kept doing it. They kept doing it. They were in Jalen Hurts' face a ton.
I got a stat for you here. I didn't. I listened to this either this morning or yesterday morning. The Football GM podcast on The Athletic. Shout out to that. They said that last year Jalen Hurts only faced 28 dropbacks of cover 0. So that's no safety deep, man-on-man coverage. Everybody else is blitzing. He only saw 28 times for the entire season, and 22 of those were a screen pass. So only 6 times he had to drop back and face that rush and figure out what to do. And you see the Patriots, you get into that third down in the red zone on the first drive, and they disguise and bring that blitz, and it's cover 0 across the board. And you get the sack right away. Hurts had no idea what to do, and for the most part, all game long, Philly didn't have an answer for it. It felt back. You're going back to 2019. You remember in some of the games that season where you got 2 groups of players on the field. There's going to be one where everybody's standing at the line of scrimmage ready to blitz, and everybody else is standing at the first down marker, just waiting for their guy to come to them. And you saw that a couple times tonight, which is a fan of aggressive defense I absolutely loved. But you're out there with, you got Miles Bryant on the field, and you got rookie Christian Gonzalez on the field against some of these guys for Philly who are really good receivers, and they're showing no fear, and it paid off. Philly didn't have answers, shut them down, held them to field goals. Only 1 touchdown allowed by the defense all game, and it was on a short field. Everything else was field goals. So awesome. Schematically, really good breaking down the film and finding something, and then the execution was top notch all game long.
Right, 100%. And that's, the play you mentioned, Duggar late blitz, and he confused the right guard and the right tackle, and they both blocked him, which left Judon wide open, and he was right in Hurts' lap immediately. Hurts like, well, I got to just take the sack. What am I going to do? And so those are the types of plays that if they keep making those, this defense is going to be a lot of fun. And then you mentioned Christian Gonzalez, and he was fine for most of the game. He wasn't really in press coverage a ton. He didn't get, most of the passes he gave up were in zone coverage, or he was 12 yards off and they ran it out, right? So it's like you really couldn't see a ton. He made a really nice tackle on a play. They bounced outside. I thought that he looked good being physical.
Yes.
And then games on the line, Devonta Smith, who in my eyes is very close to an elite wide receiver in this league, runs a quick slant, and Gonzalez knows it's going to be a quick pass, knows that it's going to be a quick slant for that first down, and he gets in front of it, knocks it away. And it's like in his first career game to make a play like that, it was impressive. It was impressive. Yeah. And so I was happy with that.
Yeah. That and the blitz, they brought him on. Where you got a sack.
Yes.
Did not see that coming, but he's got that speed, and they were confusing Hurts, and
100%.
This is that Patriots defense. You never saw the same personnel on the field. If you notice with the corner spot, they rotated everybody. I can't wait to see the snap counts later. I think Gonzalez is the only corner that played all of them, and they rotated everybody else. Miles Bryant started. Marcus Jones was out there on the next drive. It was Bryant and Jones after that, and Jonathan Jones came off. And I think in one drive in each half, they gave Jonathan Jones a drive off. They rotated the safeties. Phillips didn't start. You had Peppers at free safety, then Duggar's at free safety, then Phillips comes back in, and being able to rotate those guys and keep everybody fresh against an offense like that, I think was huge and gave you a lot of matchup options that were fun, and Philly didn't have an answer for.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll tell you what, man. You look at that team and you just said, they looked good out there. They looked like they belong. They looked like they can play against anyone, because that's one of the best offenses in the NFL. And to be able to stop them in that situation, Jalen Hurts is an absolute weapon, 100% a weapon. But to me, they were able to pretty much shut him out of this game. I mean, of course, he runs it at the end of the game and Peppers knocks it out of his hand, right? Great tackle and forces the turnover. And so Hurts was good. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, after that fourth down, he threw that absolute dime to A.J. Brown and he bobbled it going out of bounds. Great challenge by Belichick.
Yeah.
But he's a really, really good player. Really good player.
Yes.
And for them to be able to do what they did, I thought was impressive. Juwan Bentley played almost every snap today.
Yep.
And he looked pretty damn good out there, man. Like, he looked pretty damn good out there. Mac Wilson, on the other hand, not so much. But Juwan Bentley was out there nonstop, and he played well. They stopped the run very well. I was impressed.
Yeah, Mapu playing safety back there. I thought he looked really good. I think one of the stories here is a big picture. Basically, every single player that they drafted played in this game, except for Bolden, who's on injured reserve. And is there somebody who was inactive? I don't think so. I think it's just Bolden.
Sean Wade. Sean Wade was inactive.
No, the guys they drafted.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I think everyone was active.
And Jake Andrews didn't play.
Right.
But everybody else played and looked like they belong. And no undrafted free agent made it this year. Yeah, you got 12 draft picks and like basically all made the team and are playing well. So that's awesome. And the first three guys, Keon White, man, against Philly's offensive line.
Yep.
Week 1, showing up and making things happen. That's got me real excited. And it's looking ahead a little bit. Miami next week. With that offense, scored 36 points at LA. Obviously, the LA defense
stinks.
It shouldn't, based on the people in it.
But
here we
does.
are. Yeah. And it shouldn't. That for all the critiques of Brandon Staley, he's always been a really good defensive coach. So the way that this has happened is shocking. But they had no answer for what Miami was doing. You're going to need this defense to show up, but Miami's offensive line against Barmore, who looks fantastic today, and Keon White. And I thought Lawrence Guy was good, and Godshaw was good. I think everybody on the defensive line looked good. I think the Patriots, I think one big takeaway here is the Patriots were about even, I would say, in the trenches with 2 units for Philly that are considered among the best in the NFL. That's awesome.
Yeah. Right.
That's where games are won, and more so, that's where games are lost. And if they're not going to lose you games there, if the secondary continues to play how it does, if they can mix up coverages the way they're doing, they're going to play with every single team that they play down the stretch. Obviously, you're probably going to have your weird games where things don't work out, but they can play with every single team that they're going to play against this season.
Right. And again, the defense can keep them in the games. The offense is going to have to win the games, right? And at a certain point, you're going to be asking them to win the games, not just get close to winning games, but actually win the games. And look, it didn't happen tonight for a myriad of reasons, right? A big one of them to me is drops. I thought Mac Jones was good enough to win the game. It was a great pass to Kayshon Boutte, couldn't get a second foot down. It was a really nice pass to Kendrick Bourne over the middle on 3rd and 12, couldn't make the catch. So there are things that happened, right? It was a bad first quarter for Mac Jones. He was okay in the first quarter, but not great. But to me, when you look at it and I look at it and think that he was good enough to win the game, in my opinion. And it didn't happen, unfortunately. So I just, look, it is what it is. And you can't win every game, and you're not super, you're not super happy about that. And by the way, so this Bama Bell is asking a good question. Why are the Patriots fan base so awful to Mac? I think the real simple answer is because of the guy that they honored at halftime. Yeah. We are spoiled, and we expect Mac. We expect Tom Brady.
Yeah, everybody forgets that we all look back at that Chiefs game in 2014 and Trent Dilfer and his comments. We make fun of it, and it's all that. That the Boston sports media was saying that stuff too. It wasn't just Trent Dilfer. Brady had 4 bad games to start a season. Everybody was asking if it was time to move on.
Right.
And it's a fan base that has very high standards, and I get that. And it should. I'm not saying you shouldn't have high standards, but should be understanding of where Mac is and that this is one game. If you look around, if we're judging based on one game, Joe Burrow is a bum and the Bengals should move on right now. But I don't think anybody actually thinks that. So let's we'll reevaluate in a month and see where Mac's at. But I'm
Right.
happy with what we've seen
Yep.
for our first glance under Bill O'Brien.
Right. So, look, it is what it is, and it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect, and I'm not saying Mac Jones was perfect, and I'm not saying any of those things. But I am saying when you watch this game, if you don't come away from this game impressed and I think enthusiastic about the rest of the season, that's the way I look at it and say, I think there is a lot to be excited about this team. I think the offense looks significantly better. The defense looks as good as we were hoping it would be. And, so they didn't get the win, and they didn't get the win. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be in pretty much every game they play. And I think the offense looked good enough to sit there and say, we at least we'll have a chance to win these games down the end of this.
I think this team can be as good as the 2021 one was, and that team made the playoffs. And yeah, I think the worst case here is I feel like we're going to get 14 entertaining Sundays, Mondays, 14 entertaining Sundays, 2 entertaining Mondays, and an entertaining Thursday from this team. And that's kind of the bare minimum after last year. I'll take that. I want to enjoy watching these games right now.
Exactly.
And this team's fun too. I mean, you saw these guys like each other so much. That's the other thing that makes it fun is like these guys, like they're a fun team to root for, especially now the offense has an identity and has something that's going for it. They do something on offense. You know what the goal is. The guys like each other. The defense is going to mix it up, but it's going to have its moments of aggression. They're going to rush the passer. They're going to do cool stuff. And you know what? I'll take that for now. I'd like to win some more championships. I don't know if we're going to be on that level this year, but the goal this year is to, figure out what these guys are, be a good football team, and then build on it.
Right. And honestly, it's one of those situations where you're trying to build something. And so you're hoping that the guys that you drafted this year can take that step. I thought Demario Douglas looked good tonight. I thought, a lot of these rookies, and, Mapu played safety, and he played in the box at linebacker a bit. He played kind of all over the field tonight.
Played in the slot. Yeah.
He didn't play a ton of snaps, but he was out there. I think they were mixing and matching things defensively. I think, as far as I'm concerned, I don't need to see Mac Wilson out there again. I just don't.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know
barring
why.
an injury, I don't want him out there.
Yeah, I'm not even like I was surprised when Shaun Wade made the roster, but I would have Shaun Wade out there over Mac Wilson right now, especially with Jack Jones. This is the other thing too. This is the first time we've talked on here since the Jack Jones injury situation developed on Wednesday. A couple of comments on that. First of all, no, this is not a conspiracy. They're not having Jack Jones fake an injury because of the gun stuff. He got cleared of the stuff, hurt himself, got evaluated, and is now apparently out for 2 months.
Imagine if the Patriots said, we're gonna suspend you for 4 weeks. We're gonna make it look like an injury. I mean, they'd be getting sued by the NFLPA. There's no way they could do that.
And the NFL, they'd get it from both sides on that one, and you'd have to get the player to agree to it. And if you want to hold him out, the idea is to teach him a lesson. No better way than to suspend him and say we're not okay with your conduct.
Correct.
We want that public statement.
If you're going to suspend him, you suspend him.
And people will say like, oh, like you want to protect his ego or whatever. But that's like 2 months or however long since this happened. He's been the talk of the Boston media talking about what happened. He's the ego part of this. We're well past that. He had to have lost that on this. He's been in court for this. He's not going to be sensitive to a suspension from his employer after that.
Agreed. But thanks for coming by, Light Engine. I will definitely be having some tea tonight and tomorrow morning.
Yes.
So, but that's the thing for me. I sit there and look at it and just say, like, that's foolish. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
The other part of it is that now you don't have Jack Jones. Now, look, I thought Jonathan Jones played well. I thought Christian Gonzalez played well. And I thought, look, Miles Bryant's fine. I think Marcus Jones should be out there as a slot corner, but I think Miles Bryant's fine.
He had a nice hit.
He did have a real nice hit.
AJ Brown. Yeah. I think
it was AJ Brown coming across.
I think rotating all 4 of those guys is probably a really good way to do it so they're fresh. I think you've got 4 really good players there.
Yeah. So, but But I think overall they were good. And look, it's a tough test next week, a real tough test next week against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But I think the Patriots can stay with them a lot better than the
Chargers.
Than the Chargers did today.
Well,
so
when the Chargers got J.C. Jackson out there, and I love him. He was awesome in New England, but the issue for him is he doesn't have top-end speed, and he couldn't handle some of the guys in the AFC East, and I think the Chargers just experienced that.
Right.
Patriots have high-end speed at the corner position, and honestly, like, Jack Jones is athletic, he's fast, but his big thing is his instincts and his ball skills and his aggression. He's not, like, the highest-end speed guy, so I think these first 2 weeks – you don't miss Jack Jones that much because you're facing guys who are either so incredibly technically savvy or so fast that it's like he's probably part of a rotation. You're not going to lock him onto a guy. Once you get to week 3 against the Jets, I get a little bit concerned about missing him just because, Randall Cobb is out there. I feel like Jack Jones would work there. Or if you're trying to bait Aaron Rodgers into doing something, Jack Jones is the guy. We saw that last year. He's already gotten him before. I think that's a game where you're going to miss him. But these first 2 weeks, I think you can be totally fine with the guys you have on this roster right now.
I agree. And so we'll see what ends up happening. But I think long term, there were some good things. Look, Kayshon Boutte didn't make those catches today, but he was open fairly consistently. I think that's a good thing. And I think he'll get,
Yeah. They put him at the X, like Parker's role, which I didn't expect them to do. I didn't think they would think he was ready for that, which I think is a good sign from where he's at right now in his development. He's continued to impress me. Anybody who's been listening since the draft knows I was not a fan of the pick at the time. And I think he's won me over the last couple of months because he's bought in. He's doing the right stuff. He's getting open. He's making plays. He didn't get in bounds on that back shoulder throw, but having a back shoulder throw with Mac Jones the way he did, eventually, if they make that connection happen, that's who made a lot of money on that? Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson or Devontae Adams. Like that's if you can pull that off, that can be an incredible weapon. So, and Pop Douglas is awesome. Huge fan of him. And I think I don't know exactly how much it says. Bill Belichick wasn't going to comment on it, but their group, when they needed to go score to win the game, they had Gesicki out there and Henry. It'd rotate. Ramondre, and then Bourne and the 2 rookies, Pop and Boutte out there. I don't know what that means about Juju Smith-Schuster. Maybe it's because of the drops he had earlier. Maybe they just, had a set rotation and it was his drive off. Maybe he was tired. I don't know what's going on there. But those are the guys they wanted out there with the game on the line.
Right. And that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing, right? You talk about 2 rookies that were drafted in the 6th round that had an impact in week 1. And again, Boutte didn't come down with those catches, but he was there, and maybe someone else would have. I don't know, right? Like maybe that's whatever, but it's it is what it is. And I think that moving forward, there's good things. Moving forward, you can say, okay, if they continue to get better, they're going to be really good. They're going to be a top 15 offense, which to me is all they. If they can be a top 15 offense in the NFL, they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. The other thing too, you watch that offensive line and the skill position guys they had out there tonight. That's better than what the Chiefs had on Thursday without Kelsey out there.
Yep.
It was just better. They played better, and that's with some guys in there who are not your starters.
100%.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on in Kansas City with that. Obviously, Kelsey will come back, and he is really, really, really good, and we're going to probably see that in person on a Monday night this December. But, we've talked for 3, 4, 5 years here about how weapons are an issue in New England, and they need to get better, and they could still use a number 1 weapon. I don't think weapons are the big issue right now. I think you probably just need 1 extra guy on offense somewhere. Tight end, receiver, offensive lineman, somewhere you want somebody, but you're not like, oh man, this is awful. This is a real NFL group, a competitive NFL group. This, by the way, this Cowboys Giants
is a disaster, 40-0 lacking. And so no nonsense gaming here. We're homers and we don't undo. It's like they haven't seen what other QBs can do. No, totally. Who killed it today was Daniel Jones. Killed it today. Who really played well today? Really, really, really played well today was this guy, Joe Burrow, highest paid quarterback in NFL history. He was awesome today. I mean, awesome today. Yeah. Right. Well, look, let's not pretend like we think that let's not pretend like we think that Mac Jones is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's not.
He's not
But
even a
if he
Pro
can-
Bowl quarterback with how he
No.
played today.
If he can get you to a top 15 passing offense in the league, that's good enough to make the playoffs. Now,
For context, like Jared Goff was one of the leading passers in the NFL last year. My standard for Mac Jones has always been that he can be as productive as Jared Goff. And remember, a team moved off of Jared Goff and won a Super Bowl because of it. That's
Correct.
not some crazy endorsement of Mac Jones. It's that, hey, you put him in the right system and point him in the right direction and tell him to throw to the right guys at the right time. And I think he can do all those things if you tell him to do it the right way and help make things happen.
And the Rams didn't just move off of Jared Goff. They threw him in with 2 other first-round picks. So, like,
$40 million.
Yes. So it's one of the things for me where it's like, yes, no, he's not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I've said all along, if he can get to Kirk Cousins, that's good enough for me. That's what I think Mac Jones is Kirk Cousins. The reason why Cousins has always gotten a bad rap is because he stinks in the playoffs and in big games. If Mac can play well in big games, then he becomes Kirk Cousins, but effective in big games. And that, to me, is the top 12 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. And let's
never going to win an MVP, never going to, but we can get to that.
Yeah. And let's see what his career development looks like. I mean, this franchise does not have to make a decision on him for a while. For the rest of the season here, we got 16 more games. He could stink it up for the rest of the 16, and that's going to make your decision very clear on what the future is going to be. But, they showed some stuff tonight offensively that he was able to execute, handle mentally. I think the biggest things for him coming out of college, obviously, one is his accuracy, which I think was a little bit off what we expected. I don't know if that was the rain today. That great catch Hunter Henry made on 4th down was also a little bit inaccurate. I think Henry got hit, and maybe that's messed up the timing in that. But his accuracy for the most part has been really good in the NFL, and it was the mental side. And his mental side was very good as a rookie. I think it hit a ceiling as a rookie, but it was very good. And then last year it was just non-existent. And today, you could tell that it clicked because his pocket presence was there. He was making throws under pressure. He could tell where guys were going to be without actually having to look at them. He could identify coverages. He knew where his answers were. That's the ground floor for being a guy you can have as your quarterback for a long time. I don't even know that's a franchise guy, but that's like guy you can have start multiple seasons for you.
Right. Correct.
All right, let's keep that up. Let's do that week over week and build on it.
And the argument is, Jared Goff played in the Super Bowl. And first of all, I don't know if Jared Goff actually played in that Super Bowl. But again, they ate $40 million of his contract and threw him in with 2 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford, who is fine, but he's Matthew. He's not that great.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
This is not some ringing endorsement of Mac Jones.
Right.
I hope he becomes good. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So and also,
go.
MA Football Guy points out 316 yards against that pass rush with 2 rookies at guard and without Devontae Parker.
It's good. That's a good thing. I hope they do more of that. I'm also going to add, because I know we're talking about a lot of good things, and we're hoping that projects forward. And I think some of the negatives hopefully will go away. I think it was just some bad luck today. You probably won't see. You'll see other forms of bad luck in the future. Things are going to get changed up. But you look ahead to next week against Miami, and I think this is, it's a different test for the defense. I hope and I expect the defense will play as well next week as it did today against Philly. But that is a very different animal. It's the same in that you got 2 elite receivers where a lot of the show is going to go through them. But there's a lot of RPOs. There's a lot of play action. It's different types of stuff than you see with Philly, in large part because Tua is not really the run threat. It's a little bit more traditional handoff, things like that. So it's going to look different for the defense, and you're going to play different coverages against it because it's a faster group of guys. So you might have to play safeties back more often. Somebody had mentioned in the chat how good Jonathan Jones is against Tyreek Hill in particular. I think we're going to see that matchup quite a bit by Christian Gonzalez on Jalen Waddle and some safety help. And I like the way those matchups work, but you got to go out there and win them. It's easy to do on paper, but Jalen Waddle's Christian Gonzalez isn't going to win every snap against Jalen Waddle. It's going to be, a mixed bag, and Miami's going to be able to score a little bit. You hope that mixed bag doesn't include a touchdown or, a 40-yard pass or a 60-yard pass or an 80-yard pass or something like that off something that doesn't work. And your pass rush is going to attack it differently because Tua isn't as mobile as Jalen Hurts. But he still can make you pay. So you're worried about him as a run threat in a very different way than you are with Hurts. So a lot of similarities between the two teams, but enough differences that you're not copying and pasting the game plan. And I think we should expect the defense to play very well against Miami, but it's clear this is an offense that can execute at a very high level and can score on you. And it's going to be a test. Just because the defense played well today does not mean it's going to happen next week.
Correct. By the way, people in the chat, talking about, we're disrespecting Jared Goff. I mean, people talked about Jared Goff was a horrendous player. Again, when your own team pays you $40 million to not play there and gives up 2 first-round picks with you for a quarterback who is fine, in my opinion, I just the tools are there. We know that he was the number 1 pick, but come on. Let's not talk about Jared Goff like he's not
untouchable.
You know what I mean? It's just whatever. It just is.
Yeah, and to be clear, what I had said, the context of what I said, I think Mac Jones can be as productive as Jared Goff. And I meant that as in Jared Goff of last season, the team that did not even make the playoffs.
Yes,
I'm just saying Jared Goff was really good at throwing the ball where the offensive coordinator told them to throw it, and they schemed up some really nice stuff, and they used play action really well. That's all stuff
100%.
Mac Jones can do.
Yeah. And he played great last year. He played great last year. And he deserves credit for that. So
he got a win at Arrowhead Thursday night too.
Correct.
He's got some guts. He's not a bad player. I'm just not sure he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback type of guy. Not without a great defense.
Yeah.
I think this is about as good as we could possibly feel after a loss.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. One thing we haven't talked about, we got to get to before we're over an hour, but that's okay, was the Tom Brady thing today. It was so cool to see Brady out there. We're going nuts. I thought it was fantastic. He comes out, runs down the field with his by the way, Mac did make the playoffs, but that's neither here nor there. Runs down the field.
Not last year, but back in 2021.
Yes. Gives his fist pump. It was great, dude. Public service announcement gets played. He was up on the lighthouse, ringing the bell at the lighthouse. That's going to be, I think, that's going to be their new thing. Right, instead of guys opening the doors to the locker room, I think someone's going to be up there ringing the bell every week. So
I wonder who it's going to be for Sunday Night Football, because they got to get somebody big for next week.
You would think. So, anyways, it was so cool. And of course, Robert Kraft announces that on June 12th, 2024, they are inducting Tom Brady into the Patriots Hall of Fame, skipping the 4 years of eligibility. It takes 5 years of eligibility. So skipping 4 of those 5 years and saying, no, we're putting him in right now. He deserves it. In 6-12, 6 Super Bowls. Obviously, he's number 12. And then 24 was something as well. I think he played 24 years in the NFL. But so
I'll be January 1. I'll be submitting PTO for that day. So I can go off to New England.
I think everyone will. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
The thing that I loved about today too is that obviously there's all the Brady memories, and I spent before the games today, I watched NFL channel on YouTube. That's 100 greatest Tom Brady plays compilation. I watched that whole thing, and that was awesome. But to me, the funniest thing is just this dude's a superhero in the world of professional sports. He's world famous, all this stuff, and you'll hear him speak, and he's totally just the high school jock, the way he talks. And it's so funny because he's a complete goofball. And it's so good. The way I described it, his speech today was the jock in high school who's also valedictorian having to give a speech at graduation. It's exactly what it was. In the best way. I think we saw it back in 2018 too, with all his social media presence and stuff. He's just a really goofy guy who likes, doing funny things and hanging out with the guys. And I miss all the football stuff, but I miss that part of Brady as well, the social media. And I hope as he, goes into retirement here and hopefully hangs around New England more, we get to see that, personality that we didn't get when he was a football player doing all the media stuff. Hopefully he's around Patriots games quite a bit. I know he's the Raiders part owner now, and his interview on CBS, he was very clearly trying to play the middle a little bit because he's like, I can't, like, he was like, we got two great teams here I'm rooting for. And it's like, he has to do it because he's a part owner and he's going to be a broadcaster at some point. But I want to see him come. But he said also, I'm a Patriot forever.
Which is pretty cool, right? I'll be Patriot forever. And I thought Alex Barth really summed it up really well. He said, no, this is everything he wanted it to be. But he said it wasn't Hollywood, didn't feel overproduced, wasn't a sales pitch. There was nothing artificial. It was just like genuine mutual appreciation for Brady and from the organization. I thought it was great. It was everything we wanted to see out there. And Tom just saying to be Patriot for life was so cool. I mean, that was great. So
that was awesome. I was actually a little surprised they didn't just straight up retire his jersey and like unveil a banner today.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm assuming they'll do that at next year.
That will happen in June. And I would assume that will be a ticketed event in the stadium, is what I would think.
They said it'll be in the stadium. So
yeah. Yep.
I wonder I'm guessing season ticket holders are going to get to go.
You know what? I bet you they're going to sell tickets for it. And maybe the season.
I bet they're going to sell tickets, but season ticket holders will get first dibs.
I hope so.
Their season.
I hope so. That'd be nice. But
they might also they'll probably put some chairs on the field and let people sit down there too.
That's true too. Yeah, for some extra money or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So I gotta get to that. That or whenever he gets put in Canton, at least one of those I'm going to.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the Canton one that'd be really fun. So
no nonsense. Ganny says, "Do you guys think Brady will get into the Hall of Fame?" I think he should because he has a great smile. I love that. He does have.
You know what? I was a little on the fence before the smile, and then I think he's right.
You see those pearly whites, and you can't have him say no.
So it's Anyways,
yeah.
All right, let's get out of here. We've been here for over an hour. Oh, you want to do a trivia
note before we get to that?
Yes,
I'll do a quick note because we don't know. We'll know a lot more when we have. I think we're doing a Wednesday show this week. There's a hurricane out in the Atlantic right now, and it may only just be one of the models has it hitting Rhode Island next Sunday, which is when the Patriots are supposed to play. So first of all, if that does happen, I'm assuming we got a lot of listeners here who are in New England or who could be affected by that. So putting this on your radars, follow it. If it does come this way, take precautions, be safe. We want to make sure everybody's okay. Beyond that, could have implications to when or if or where this game is played. I'd hope it stays, in New England next Sunday night. That's a fun slot. I think next Monday night might have 2 games too. So that kind of changes what you can do with. I don't know how that's going to work. This is like a 20% chance it even comes this way. It would be like a category 2 storm, according to this too. So it's like, you can't play in that. That's too much. So we'll see what happens. So we'll put it on the radar. By the time we do our Wednesday show, we should know a lot more about what it could look like. But putting that out there.
You would certainly think so. And my wife said to me tonight, she's like, I don't feel comfortable you leaving us alone here with, like a legitimate hurricane, which I don't, and I had 3 little kids. I don't blame her. But like you said, you can't, if it's really that bad, you really can't play in that. You can't.
No, if that's what it is, maybe you bump the game up a day and play on Saturday. I don't know if they are legally allowed to do that. There are broadcasting restrictions about the NFL playing on Saturdays and college football playing on Sundays. If you're interested, you want to go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, go look at that. It's literally like congressional law that ironed that out. Interesting stuff.
I mean,
you could push it to Monday, could push it to Tuesday.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They played the
Miami
Chiefs game. Played the Chiefs game on Tuesday, right back during 2020. So they could theoretically do that. Obviously, that's not the best thing because both of those teams now are going into a very short week the next week.
Yeah.
And then Miami is going to have to fly in on Saturday,
ahead of it,
wait through the hurricane on Sunday, and then play on Monday, on Tuesday.
Which I don't know if I think it would be unprecedented, but because it's a divisional matchup, you would, in theory, have the option to switch the games and play this one down in Miami that Sunday and play the other one in New England in October. I have no idea if that's logistically possible. And we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We don't even know if this thing's hitting or if it would match up with the game. It could hit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday after. So getting way ahead of ourselves, but yeah.
Right. So, anyways, so that's just. But I think it is a good thing to take a look at.
Yeah.
So before we get to the, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I was just going to say before we get to the trivia question, I thought that just to kind of sum it up to me, I thought the Patriots played a lot better than people expected. I thought that, some of the weapons that we saw, I didn't see a ton out of Juju. He looked okay, but I didn't see a ton out of him. But I was extremely impressed with the way Gesicki looked. I thought he played very well. I thought Hunter Henry had a really good game. I thought Pop Douglas looked good. And again, Kayshawn, for me, he didn't get the feet down, but he's getting open against NFL. And again, Philly's a very good team. They're a very, very good defense. The fact that he's getting open against those good defenses is a good thing. He's got a long way to go, for sure. But I think that getting in those spots is a good thing. And so, it would have been really nice to get this win. Getting this win would have been fantastic, especially in people putting on the chat. It's a tough schedule. It is. It's not easy. They don't get, the games don't get much easier after this one. So having the opportunity to win at the end of the game and not being able to pull it off hurts. But I thought that, overall, with all things considered, I was impressed with the way they played. And I think that you can look at this game and say there are good things in the Patriots' future.
Yeah, fully agreed there. I see people throwing out, first 4 games, what their record could be. So first 4 games versus Philly, obviously lost in that one, against Miami. Next Sunday at the Jets. After that, and I believe at Dallas. After that, that's how it lines up. How many wins do they need in that stretch for you to feel good?
It's got to be at least 2. You can't start 1-3. It's got to be at least 2 wins for me to feel really good about this team. Or, I guess theoretically they go 1-3, but, some fluky thing happens in one of those games or in 2 of those games. And, you feel like you probably should have won them, but you get screwed by a call or whatever, but to me, I think that, you really need to have 2 wins coming out of that, especially with the way your division is going to play. You got to have 2 wins coming out of that.
Well, and it's hard to say, too, because we haven't seen the Jets and what that's going to look like this year. We're watching the Cowboys right now, and I'm not even sure if that is a winnable game. If the Cowboys play like this, they might be better than Philly is, and that's on the road, and that's tough.
But I think the Giants, though, suck tonight. I think tonight, obviously, Dallas is incredible. But I think this game, to me, is more indicative of the Giants playing horrendously than it is about the Cowboys playing that well,
Yeah. Well, I look at it, it's like even if you lose to the Cowboys, I think you should beat Miami. It's not a must-win, but it kind of is. It's one you really want to have. And at the Jets, it's a road division game, and it's hard to say that's a must-win. But also, the Patriots have owned the Jets, and if the Jets are not this fully operational battle station that they think they are, that'll be a very winnable game for New England.
100%.
And also, even better, a chance to make a lot of New Yorkers feel very upset. That's almost the bigger deal in that.
Yeah.
I think those are the 2 that you look at on the first month of the schedule, and you say you want those 2. Those are the ones you want to get.
So we'll see. But anyways, you got a trivia question for today before we get out of here?
Yeah, and the one for the last week was which Patriot scored the game-winning touchdown in New England's only win over the Eagles at Gillette Stadium. That was Lawrence Maroney back in 2007. Congrats to Lime Green Elevator, who I believe was the first one to get the correct answer on that one. That's fantastic. I love it. We got one tonight that has 4 different possible answers. You only got to get one of them to get in, to get it right. But no, in the spirit of Jabril Peppers here, forced that fumble on Jalen Hurts today. 4 Patriots have forced 5 fumbles in a season with the team. That's the franchise record there.
Okay.
So 4 different guys have done it. Name one of them.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I know one right off the bat. Pretty sure.
Yeah. And one of the things I thought was really interesting about this is that 2 of these guys did it in the same season.
Really?
Which I thought was fun. Yeah,
that's cool.
So we'll see if anybody can get this. And for anybody new to this, obviously it's week 1. Whoever gets this one right first. Everybody, we're doing this every week. You get the first one to get it right, then you're going to be entered to win something from the Pro Shop. We're going to do a drawing at the bye week.
Midway point.
We're not
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, any takeaways we're looking for, kind of in the next couple of days here after the game, while we're killing some time for people to submit some stuff.
No, nothing really. You know what? I think to me, the health of guys is going to be important, right?
Hmm.
Is Cole Strange going to come back? Is Mike Onwenu going to come back? Is Devontae Parker going to come back? Right. And so those things are really what I'm looking for the most. But I do think, that I was very enthused with the way I saw the two rookies play. I thought City So, like you said, hadn't played guard at all. And so, that was impressive, right? That was very impressive. So to me, he played well. I thought that Mafi played extremely well. And again, they had moments where they got smoked. Those things happen, right? Especially against a team like that. But for the most part, they played really well. Now, would I have liked to have seen them actually be able to have a running game? For sure.
Yeah,
but that hopefully will get better over time. So, look, again, it wasn't perfect. Obviously, they lost. You would have liked to have seen them play better in those moments. But with that team that we saw on the field tonight, I think that that's a team that can make the playoffs and make some noise and be a tough team to beat every single game. And honestly, that's all you can hope for. We're not winning the Super Bowl this year. Newsflash, Patriots aren't winning the Super Bowl this year.
Not unless you get a 2001 type run where everything clicks late in the year and you're firing on all cylinders in the playoffs. And
but if you have
you got to get some bounces to make that work.
And that's the thing. You got to have a good defense, which they do. And if you can have a good offense, you give yourself a chance to win every game. And if your offense executes the way they did on a few of the drives tonight consistently, you can be a tough team to beat. So if you get in the playoffs, you give yourself a chance to beat anyone. So that's what I got.
Every week, and you're going to be in every single game you play. And if you do that, I like the odds.
Exactly. So, by the way, I haven't seen. I don't know if anyone's gotten the right answer yet. I haven't seen the answer that I know was correct. So we'll see.
I'm not going to spoil anything. We'll give you the answer on Wednesday's episode. Just that way for anybody who's coming in later, if you wanna play, go ahead and just have some fun with it, even if you're just doing it yourself.
Exactly.
Come back on Wednesday if you want to find out that answer and see if you're eligible for a gift card or whatever we end up doing from the pro shop. We got to decide that at some point.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. By the way, we are doing two prop bets a week. I went 0 for 2 this week. I don't know if you went. Did you go 0 for 2 as well?
I don't remember what mine were. One of mine was Zeke touchdown.
That was out.
So I did a prop bets thing for Pat's Pulpit too, and I did 3 Patriots prop bets for it.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 hit. The one that didn't was the Zeke one. The ones that hit were the under on Jalen Hurts passing yards and the over on Rhamondre, not just the over on Rhamondre Stevenson receiving yards, but an alternate line that was plus money.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
So I had Jamal Williams touchdown, didn't hit.
I had anything Saints the rest of the year. I don't want to watch that team.
Speaking of Jared Goff, I had over on Jared Goff passing yards. The number was 255.5. With 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, he had 253 yards passing. I'm like, oh, that's it. Got it. He completed 0 passes the rest of the game. I was like, you got to be kidding me with that, man. I needed 3 yards in 10 minutes. And I couldn't get it. So, that's the way it goes.
All right. So Wednesday night, 9:30.
Wednesday night it is 9:45, 9:30. We'll see you guys there. Thanks as always. The chat was lighting it up tonight. We appreciate it.
You guys tonight.
I'll have a voice by Wednesday. Next Sunday, next Monday, next Sunday night they'll be gone again. But of course, I may not be on.
That's going to be like a 1:30 a.m. show once you're.
I don't know. I don't know. You might be alone on Sunday night. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll call in from the car. I don't know. We'll see. So, anyways, thanks, guys. We appreciate it as always, and we'll talk to you Wednesday.